Example 1, we have 11m minus 8 minus 6m equals 22. In order to solve this, we're going to have to start off by first combining like terms. That means we're going to have to combine the 11m and the negative 6m. So 11 minus 6 gives us 5m minus 8 equals 22. Now we can start solving this like a two-step equation. We're going to add 8 to both sides. We've got 5m equals 30. And we're going to divide both sides by 5. And in this case, we get m to equal 6. The second equation, you get 2y plus 5 plus 5y equals 14. You need to combine like terms here as well. So we take the negative 2y and the positive 5y, combine those together, so negative 2 and 5 becomes 3, so 3y plus 5 equals 14. In order to solve this, we're first going to subtract 5 from both sides. We're going to get 3y equals 9. Then we're going to divide both sides by 3 to get the y by itself. And you get y to equal 3. Pause the video and go ahead and try the next two examples on your own. When you're ready to see the answers, unpause the video and they should appear for you. In the third example, you get 8x minus 21 minus 5x equals negative 15. Your first step is to combine the like terms of 8x and negative 5x, resulting in 3x. From there, you take 3x minus 21 equals negative 15. You're going to add 21 to both sides. You should get 3x equals 6, and then you need to divide by 3 to get x by itself, so that way x equals 2. In the fourth example, same idea. You have 2a plus 3 minus 8a equals 8. Your first step should be to add or combine like terms. So 2a minus 8a gives you negative 6a plus 3 equals 8. Your next step will be to subtract 3, which is the inverse of adding 3, to both sides. So you're going to subtract 3 from both sides. You get negative 6a equals 5. Then you want to divide by negative 6 in order to remove the negative 6 on both sides. And when you divide both sides by negative 6, you get a to equal a negative 5/6. In the next problems, we're going to be looking at the distributive property, or distribution. Anytime you have a number directly outside of parentheses with a quantity, you have to distribute that quantity throughout the parentheses. So we're taking 4 times x and 4 times negative 2, which gives us 4x and negative 8. And then we continue the rest of the problem. Now we look back at the previous problems we just did, and we continue that work. So we're going to be combining like terms. So 4x and 2x should give us 6x minus 8 equals 40. We're going to add 8 to both sides. We've got 6x equals 48. And now we're going to divide both sides by 6. And in this case, we get x to equal 8. In the next example, we have 10y minus 4y plus 8 equals negative 20. Once again, we have parentheses, but this time seeing the distributive property, it works a little trickier. This minus here is actually minus a 1, or in this case, negative 1. And we're going to distribute this negative 1 throughout the parentheses. So we're distributing the negative to everything inside. So this gives us 10y minus 4y minus 8 equals negative 20. On the left, we're going to combine like terms. So 10y and negative 4y give us 6y minus 8 equals negative 20. Our next step would be to add 8 to both sides of the equation. At this point, we should get 6y equals, well, negative 20 plus 8 is negative 12. we're going to divide by 6, and we get y to equal -2. At this point, go ahead and pause the video, try this third example on your own, and when you're ready, push play and you should see the answer. So for this problem, you have -2 times the quantity 3 minus d equals 4. In this case, you want to distribute the -2 to both the 3 and the -d inside the parentheses. In doing so, you get -2 times 3 is -6. -2 times -d, or minus d in this case, gives you a positive 2d. Negative times negative is a positive. And that all equals 4. So at this point, we have -6 plus 2d equals 4. At this point, you want to then add 6 to both sides of the equation. In doing so, the -6 and the positive 6 cancel out, and you get 2d equals 10. Now we want to divide both sides by 2, and we're left with d equals 5. Now we're talking about solving multi-step fraction equations. And the reason this becomes a multi-step fraction equation is you have to remember when you're adding or subtracting a fraction, you have to do so with like denominators. So let's look at the first example. Y over 8 equals 3/4, or sorry, y over 8 minus 3/4 equals 7 over 12. Well, our first step would be to move the 3/4 by doing the inverse, or adding it. So we add 3/4 to both sides. The catch here is, if you're going to add 3/4 to 7/12, they need to have the same denominator. So that means we have to convert the 3/4 into 12ths. So in reality, we're taking 7/12 plus, well, to make 4 into 12, you'd multiply by 3, so 3/4 becomes 9/12. When you add these two together, you get 16/12, which is the same thing as 4/3. So right now, our equation should read y over 8 equals 4/3. And so at this point, to undo the 8, or undo the division by 8, we have to multiply both sides by 8. And so in doing so, we're multiplying both sides of the equation by 8. This cancels. We're left with y equals, well, 4 times 8 is 32, and so we get 32/3. And that becomes your answer. If you want to put this in decimal form, you can. It's 10.6 that repeats. I accept both answers. All right, your second example, same idea. You want to go ahead and try to undo the 3/4, in this case through subtraction. You're going to subtract it from both sides. 3/4 in terms of 12ths, we know already, in this case, is just going to be 9/12. So in reality, we have 7/12 minus 9/12, which gives us -2/12, or -1/6. And so in this case, our equation should read 2/3 r equals -2/12, or like I said before, -1/6. There we go. A little easier to work with. All right, so now what we can do is either divide by 2/3 or multiply by the reciprocal. And I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. So 3/2, 3/2. And so our final answer for this section is r equals -3/12, which is the same thing as a -1/4. In this problem, you're dealing with decimals. All right, so 3.5 minus 0.02x equals 1.24. So this problem looks like any other problem we work with. We're going to move the 3.5 first by, in this case, subtracting it. So we get -0.02x equals -2.26. So now our last step is to divide by the -0.02. In this case, you're going to get x to equal 113. All right, so now we look at word problems. All right, so the first part of a word problem is setting up the equation. So let's read the word problem to make sure we can set up the equation. Noah buys 2 packs of guitar strings at the music store. Kate buys 2 packs of strings and a music book. The total was $72. If the book was $16, how much is each guitar string? So right off the bat, we know that Noah bought 2 packs of guitar strings at the music store. Kate bought 2 packs of strings and a music book. So together they bought a total of 4 packs of strings. And they only bought 1 music book, and the total was $72. So let's try to see if we can set this up. Our unknown is packs of guitar strings. So let P equal packs. We know that they bought 4 packs, and they also spent $16 on 1 book and spent a total of $72. So our equation becomes 4P plus 16 equals 72. Our next step would be to solve this. So we're going to subtract 16 from both sides. We get 4P equals 56. And then our last step is to divide by 4. And the cost per pack gives us $14. So each guitar string pack costs $14. Go ahead and try the last word problem on your own. Pause the video. And then when you're ready to see the answer, press play. So in this case, we let our variable be M, which is ticket price. Jason bought 5 tickets, so we can say that's 5M. Jeremy bought 2 tickets, so that'd be our 2M. And they bought a bag of popcorn, which cost $5, so that's plus 5. So right off the bat, our equation becomes 5M plus 2M plus 5 equals the total of $54 that they spent. When we combine like terms of 5M and 2M, we get 7M, and so our equation becomes 7M plus 5 equals 54. Our next step would be to subtract the 5 from both sides, and you get 7M equals 49. We'll then divide by 7, and you get the movie tickets cost approximately $7 per ticket.